Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
So there are a lot of questions as to what needs to be seen from this game from Shedeur Sanders for the Browns to draft or hold off on drafting a quarterback, as one of the quarterbacks in the conversation got crowned the Heisman Trophy winner. And the reality and the real answer to that question is there's nothing one game is going to do to change that answer, right? The Browns are going to make this decision based on process, based on what makes sense for the team and what puts the team in the best position to solve the quarterback problem in 5 years, right? Well, obviously you want to answer that problem before 5 years, but 5 years from now, you want to be a team that has a quarterback, not a team still looking for a quarterback. And that's how the Browns are going to make their decision. It's going to be about the process. And it's not necessarily going to be exclusively about the results of one game or the other, no matter how many times people will use whatever result, whether it be positive or negative when it comes to Sanders, to make an argument that the result should make the argument. It's never going to be about that. It's going to be the process that it makes up the bulk of the argument. Another part of the argument is going to be what kind of position are the Cleveland Browns in to even take a quarterback in the first place, right? Are they in a trade up for a quarterback scenario, or are they in a situation where there's going to be a quarterback available to them that they value in the first round without having to trade up? See, all of those things are going to become major factors after the season. But when talking about Shedeur and what Shedeur needs to do, it's not about whether he beats the Bears or wins by 10 or 14. It's about the process that matters. And I think that's what I really want to focus in with Shedeur this week, is the process, right? The big question mark with Shedeur that we've seen in his development, as positive as it's been since he's taken the field, has been this seesaw effect that he's had, right? Goes in versus the Ravens, doesn't play very well, has a start versus the Raiders where he has a couple of great throws and a couple of great moments and a victory over the Raiders. Then he goes and plays the San Francisco 49ers. The tape on that did not look great. Felt like some of his pocket mechanics kind of fell off. The discipline wasn't there. And then he goes out the next week and has a much more disciplined game from a pocket mechanics standpoint against the Tennessee Titans. And this kind of seesaw has been what Shedeur has been on pretty much up until this point, right? You remember his first preseason game, a lot of positive things there. His second preseason game, very underwhelming. So he's been on a little bit of a seesaw at the start of his career, right? One start with a lot of good things, one start with some concerning things. One start with a lot of good things, one start with a lot of concerning things. It's kind of been back and forth like that for him. And what you want to see from Shedeur, whether you win, lose, or draw in this game, is for him to get off of that seesaw, right? For him to have a game where, whether he wins or not, you know, that'd be a different question, right? Unless he throws like a bunch of interceptions, he's clearly the reason they lose. I don't know how much you're going to really factor that in, right? The only reason him winning changes things is because it literally changes the Browns draft order, right? It's not really much about an evaluation of him. It's just more or less what position the Browns are going to be in to consider their options at the quarterback position. And the more options they have, the more chance that they take somebody to eventually take that QB1 spot. So understanding that whatever happens in this game happens, right? The Browns aren't favored to win. If the Browns lose this game, I'm not going to shed a tear. I'm not going to be shocked because they're not supposed to win this game. This is not a game that you're going in thinking the Browns have a great chance to win. And quite frankly, it's not a game where if the Browns win or lose, it's going to make or break anything about the season, right? It's just kind of a lame duck game for the Cleveland Browns result-wise. But for Shedeur, it's like you've had these up and down moments, one good start, one bad start, one good start, one bad start. Stabilize that, right? What I don't want to see from Shedeur is regression in the pocket mechanics. What I don't want to see from Shedeur is he take a bunch of sacks. I want to see the same stuff that we saw versus Tennessee, but he doesn't have to hit at the same rate that he did at Tennessee, right? I'm not expecting him to go out there and get 4 touchdowns, 394 yards. I wouldn't expect that of him. I don't think that's a fair expectation of him. Could he do it? Who knows? But, would that be a fair expectation of him? No, I don't think that would, right? So it's not that I expect him to put up the same numbers as he did against Tennessee, but I expect the process to look very similar to what it did versus Tennessee, right? Is he staying in the pocket? Is he being patient? Is he taking answers on time? Is he not rolling out and doing the spin cycle as much? Is he stepping up? How clean are his drops? Are his drops straight back like they were last week? If he could be clean with those items, clean with those mechanics, clean with that stuff, that's going to be encouraging, because that would be, for the first time this season, the first time he's done that in his rookie year, where he stacked these games back to back. He's had progress over time, mind you, but stacking these games back to back has been a little bit more of an issue for him. So that's the big thing that you want from Shedeur, right? Take what you got from last week, ignore what the results were, and just focus on what the process was for him to get those results, and watch him try to replicate that process. That's what you really want to see. You want to see if what he was able to do process-wise is replicatable for him, and if that's replicatable for success in the league. And I think it should be, if he's able to replicate the same process that he had versus the Tennessee Titans. So that's first thing, right? Just replicate that process. We'll talk about more of what we need to see in this game in just a second, but I got to thank my sponsor, Sleeper. Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required. And also, if you're a first-time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code Worst Take. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper. There is such a weird balance for these last 4 games with Shedeur, because as much as I want the development conversation about him to be focused on his process, right? How much better at his process he's getting. The reality that surrounds his situation means that winning is going to greatly affect what his opportunity looks like going forward, right? It's just, there's no way around it. You can talk yourself out of it, but there's really no way around it, right? The Browns get a top 2 or even a number 1 or maybe even a top 3 pick, and you get 2 of these quarterbacks to declare. That's going to be a conversation at the very least that the Cleveland Browns are going to have to take incredibly seriously all offseason. If you're Shedeur, you want to win these games to kind of negate that opportunity from happening for the Browns so that you can be in position to get that opportunity. But if you're the Browns, you're not really trying to solely judge Shedeur based off of his win-loss record this year. You want to judge him by the process and the things that he's putting out. This is going to lead to some interesting results if this trend continues, right? If Shedeur keeps progressing, but the Browns keep losing, this is going to be an interesting offseason, and we might be dealing with something very unique at the start of next season, and there might not be a way around that, right? And that might not be what anybody wants or what some fans want. It might be a compromise of what half the fan base wants and what the other half of the fan base wants. And maybe that works out, maybe it doesn't. But if you're Shedeur, all you can focus on is what's in front of you. All you can focus on is the task ahead of you and killing that task as best as you can, right? This goes all the way back to what we talked about with Shedeur during training camp when everybody was complaining about what opportunities he is or is not getting, or what kind of reps he's getting, or the amount of reps he's getting and not getting. There were some folks who would rather focus on, making those reps count versus counting those reps, right? And that's kind of the way that Shedeur approached it during training camp. Was he getting first team reps, second team reps? No. But he was using the reps that he was getting and using those reps to make the most out of his opportunity. And eventually that got him to the backup job. And eventually that got him an opportunity to start when Dylan went out with the concussion. And that turned into an opportunity to start the rest of the way, even when Dylan got back, right? Like, he won that job outright by the end of the season. And he did it by just focusing on the process, focusing on what's ahead of him. If he wants to become the franchise quarterback to Cleveland Browns, the task is going to be no different. He's just got to focus on each game ahead of him in hopes that if he does his job well, the rest will take care of itself, right? We're having a lot of conversations, assuming a lot of things about a lot of games that haven't been played yet. We do not know what the draft order is going to be. We don't know what the Browns' evaluation of these quarterbacks is going to be. We don't know what the Browns' determination to get a quarterback this offseason is going to be. And we don't know what their evaluation of Shedeur Sanders is going to be. We're having a lot of conversations early right now about the long-term picture of the Cleveland Browns room. Right now, all we have to focus on is Shedeur Sanders, and what we can focus on with Shedeur is simply the task that he has ahead of him. And if you're Shedeur, there's one thing you do want to conquer from this season, and that's getting off the seesaw, right? You had progress one week, you didn't show progress. It just so coincides with the fact that you played well against a team with a bad record. You play a team with a good record, you don't look as good. You play a team with a bad record, you look better. You play a team with a good record. So that becomes a little bit of a narrative for Shedeur. Well, you can kill that narrative in the crib if you're Shedeur by simply just sticking to your process, doing what you have done well the last week and building on top of that. Will it result in the same numbers every week? No, it's not. Sometimes you can stick to the same process and get horrendous results, but you still got to stick to the process that you feel like is best for you in the long run if you're Shedeur. And that's what's important, right? Taking care of the pocket drift, taking care of the pocket mechanics, playing on time, in rhythm, and just getting a better grasp for that. Some weeks are going to be better than the others. Some weeks you're going to have more success than others. Some weeks you're going to be good at it. Some weeks you're going to be bad at it, but you just want to see him continue to chop wood towards that task. That's really what I want to see out of Shedeur, right? Don't get caught up in all the other stuff. Just continue to do what he's done all season, which is focus on the task ahead of him and put all his energy behind doing the best at that task so that he can move on to the next level of this thing. So that's what I'm looking forward to see with Shedeur, right? Can he continue the progress that he had from last week? Can he build on top of some of the things that he did? Results-wise, results aren't going to be linear for a rookie quarterback. Results are always going to be up and down. But the process, does the process feel similar to what it was versus Tennessee? It might result in a great game. It might result in a mad game. It might result in a bad game. But I want to see that process. I really care about that. So that's really where I'm going to focus in with Shedeur. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.